Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're undertaking a really profound intellectual and spiritual journey as we explore Canto 3 of the classical Yoga Vasistha. This is known as the Upakti Prakarana. I am absolutely thrilled to be your guide for this. I want you to think of our time together today not as a standard lecture, but really as a transmission of ancient wisdom. Just like the great sage Vasistha imparted these incredible cosmic truths to his disciple, the young Prince Rama, I invite you to settle into a calm, focused, and totally open state of mind, because we are about to unravel the very fabric of reality itself.
Okay, let's dive right into this. I want you to sit with this question for just a second. Temporarily abandon your physical perception of reality. Every single thing you see, touch, and measure, what if it's entirely self-generated? What if the mountains, the stars, even the chair you're sitting on right now aren't solid matter, but a vivid, highly interactive dream occurring within the vast expanse of your own consciousness? It sounds like science fiction, I know, but this is actually the core premise of the Upakti Prakarana.
Here is our roadmap for today. 1. The illusion of creation. 2. Mind, Maya, and consciousness. 3. Relativity of space-time. 4. Soul and desire. 5. Practical path to liberation. And finally, 6. A summary of Canto 3.
Section 1. The illusion of creation.
The absolute essence of this concept is beautifully captured in the classical Sanskrit phrase Manomatram Jagat Kritsnam. This literally translates to, the entire universe is merely the mind. And the philosophical meaning here is just groundbreaking. Creation is not a physical event. There was no literal material Big Bang. Rather, creation is a psychological projection. The universe arises completely from the void of consciousness and ultimately dissolves right back into it, exactly like a dream you have when you fall asleep at night. Let's get really clear on what Upakti actually means in this classical text. Upakti, or creation, does not mean some deity working in a cosmic workshop building planets out of rock and fire. Not at all. Instead, it's a spontaneous generation of thought within the Supreme. Infinite consciousness seemingly forgets its infinitude for just a moment, and in that tiny ripple of thought, the entire limited material universe is born.
Section 2. Mind, Maya, and Consciousness. So the crucial point here is understanding Chit. Chit is supreme consciousness. Imagine a flawless, infinite movie screen. No matter what kind of explosive, dramatic, or terrifying movie is projected onto it, the screen itself never burns, it never cries, it never changes. It just is. Chit is that silent, eternal witness, entirely untouched by the illusions it illuminates. It's pure awareness. Now enter Manas, the mind. You might be wondering, how does a totally still screen create a movie? Well, when Chit, pure consciousness, begins to conceptualize or think, it becomes Manas. Manas is the architect of our perceived world. It's this active, vibrating power that takes formless reality and chops it up into names, forms, distances, and objects. The mind doesn't just perceive the universe, the mind actually projects it.
And the mechanism that makes us actually believe the projection? That's Maya, the cosmic veil of ignorance. Now, I should clarify, Maya isn't exactly fake in the sense that it doesn't exist at all. It exists as an experience, but it's a very convincing misinterpretation of reality. Sage Vasistha uses this classic metaphor. It's like walking in the dark and mistaking a piece of rope for a deadly snake. The fear you feel, the sweating, jumping out of the way, those reactions are very, very real, but the snake? It never existed. That's Maya making the mind's projection appear completely tangible.
Let's clearly contrast these two states just to separate the absolute reality of the soul from the manufactured illusions of the mind. Pure consciousness is formless, it's timeless, and it represents infinite bliss. It simply is. The mind's projection, on the other hand, is deeply bound by form, strictly governed by time, and because all forms eventually decay, it leads to inevitable suffering. The whole goal of this explainer is to help you shift your identity away from the illusion and back into pure consciousness.
Section 3. Relativity of space-time. Now, what's really interesting here is the massive contrast between our everyday assumptions and actual reality. In our perceived physical reality, space seems totally fixed, right? And time moves in a strict linear progression. But in psychological or dream reality, space is multidimensional. You can literally fit a sprawling, infinite city inside the tiny physical space of your dreaming skull. Time is fluid. A whole lifetime can be lived in the blink of an eye.
The Yoga Vasistha asserts that time and space compress and stretch, depending entirely on the observer's state of consciousness. Let's walk through this timeline to practically apply the theory. You lay your head on the pillow. In 1 second, you fall asleep. In 1 minute, your mind constructs an entire dream world. Within that dream, you might experience an entire hour, or maybe even years, living a whole lifetime, fighting wars, or building a home. Then your alarm rings, and in a single millisecond, that entire universe dissolves. This just proves that our waking universe behaves precisely like a mind-generated dream. Physical time is an absolute illusion. Only psychological time actually exists.
Section 4. The Soul and Desire.
Here lies the primary root cause of all human grief. The limitless Atman, your eternal soul, is meant to be the joyful observer of the cosmic dream. But it falls into a state of amnesia. It completely forgets its true nature and intensely identifies with the limited ego. The ego gets entangled in endless desires because it genuinely believes the dream is real, and therefore it thinks it absolutely must acquire dream objects in order to be happy.
Let's honor the classical verse here, Vasanah kshayam eva moksha, literally meaning the destruction of deep-seated desires is liberation itself. Grief is the direct offspring of desire. You want something, you don't get it, you grieve. You get it, you inevitably lose it, you grieve again. But desire itself is born from the illusion that the mind's projections are real, valuable things. If you use deep philosophical inquiry to just abandon the illusion, to see the snake as just a rope, the desire for the object completely vanishes. And when desire vanishes, sorrow instantly dissolves.
Section 5. Practical Path to Liberation. And this brilliantly illustrates the practical science behind how the wise act. Step 1. Observe the illusion, play your part, but maintain zero internal attachment. Step 2. Perform your worldly duties. Vashishtha tells Rama not to run away to a forest, but to rule his kingdom. But do it selflessly, like an actor playing a role brilliantly, knowing full well it's just a play. Step 3. While the hands and body are super busy in the world, the intellect and heart remain fiercely anchored in supreme consciousness.
Which brings us to the true definition of moksha, or salvation. And please note what salvation is not. It is not dying and going to some physical heaven. It is achieved not by physically escaping the world, but by an internal waking up. It's the end of the psychological dream of Maya, while you're still walking around and breathing. It is resting securely in pure consciousness, regardless of whatever chaos is unfolding in the dream.
Sage Vasistha addresses Prince Rama by name over and over, but the actual etymology of the word Rama holds immense scientific and spiritual weight here. In classical Sanskrit, Ramante yogino anante nityanande chid atmani iti Rama. It means the one in whom the yogis rejoice. Rama isn't just a historical figure in this context. Rama actually represents the ultimate joyous state of the liberated soul. It is the embodiment of absolute internal spiritual bliss that arises the moment the illusion is finally seen through.
Section 6. Summary of Canto 3.
Let's take a quick second to absorb these core truths we've covered. The universe is entirely a mind-generated illusion. Space and time are not absolute physical laws. They are entirely relative to your state of consciousness. All human grief stems from one single source, forgetting the limitless soul and chasing after the limited desires of the ego. Therefore, true liberation isn't a place you go to. It's the profound act of waking up from the cosmic dream right here, right now.
As we wrap up the book of creation, we have to look ahead. In our next explainer, we're going to dive into Canto 4, Sthiti Prakarana, the book of existence. Because think about it, if the universe is just a fleeting thought, how on earth does the mind manage to keep this grand dream so incredibly stable, predictable, and enduring? Next time, we'll explore the fascinating mechanics of how the illusion actually sustains itself.
I want to leave you with a final, truly provocative thought. If your mind, through the immense power of supreme consciousness, successfully created the entirety of this vast, complex reality you are currently experiencing, what infinite possibilities will it create next? Once you truly realize the projector is inside you, what movie will you choose to play? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Stay focused, stay curious,